Hey, folks. Let's go ahead and get started with this second live stream. I think you folks know I'm pretty new to this. Can you hear me okay? Can somebody throw into chat that they can hear me? And welcome, Dave. You had made the comment about, hey, maybe 8 o'clock would be better my time. I think it's 8 o'clock there, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll just wait for confirmation that you folks can hear me, and if so, then I will get started. All right. Uh, Thanks, Hobwax. I'm going to butcher a lot of names here today. So today we have kind of a cool thing. You have no idea how much I've been just on the inside, but giddy about releasing the Outcast class because it's such a unique class. And the Outcast was created primarily to demonstrate um, some of the capabilities of the system as opposed to just the game. It's not just another hero that has this special ability. It actually has some unique mechanics to it, again, that seamlessly run through the system. And so today I decided to double down on that. I'm going to play an elf outcast. And the reason I'm doing that is the combination of the outcast plus the elf allows me to choose any two spells I want, any two colors that I want, and so looking at this, there's a whole bunch of different options. I thought about envenom plus strength as a way to with a dagger be able to do 4 damage to an unarmored monster or native. I looked at the idea of, well, maybe I'll get fly and I'll travel around the map very quickly because I'm going to need to get to these various civilization locations to truly take advantage of the outcast's abilities. And then I had the map randomly built, and this is what I ended up with. Notice that the civilization locations are all clustered together and frankly fairly easy to get to. So then I thought, well, let's not actually do let's not do fly or shapeshift or anything like that to give me some or move earth because I want to get some better motion. It seems to me like I can really leverage some of the strengths of this particular hero class. And so let's talk a little bit about this for folks who haven't read the update. The outcast, their special ability right here, and I don't expect you to read that. Let me instead explain it. Every merchant in the game rejects the outcast as a purchaser of their goods. They'll gladly buy from the outcast, but only at half price. The outcast is literally what it means, an outcast from society. And so they can still take missions, right? So merchants will still take advantage of the outcast's abilities to do things for them. Go be my errand boy, so to speak. But the outcast, because they cannot purchase treasures and items that are with a merchant, instead their ability is to blend into the background and loot merchant sites as if it were a treasure site. They don't have to find them. They don't have to search for a merchant's location, but they can loot them. And once that loot is complete, what happens then is the outcast has to successfully hide, leveraging the advantages of race, lineage, or sneak or treasures. And the reason for that is if the merchant catches the outcast, they're immediately blocked, thereby putting them at risk of any natives that might be in the clearing with them for insults. And then the second piece is they gain an outlaw token, which obviously can be an impediment to their scoring at the end of the game. So I've chosen this elf outcast to really double down on cunning as well. Notice that there's quite a bit of wisdom there, but not very charismatic. And so we'll run into trouble with, in a sense, the authorities. Charisma tends to be the neutral folks, right? Like the wardens, the The wardens, I'm drawing a blank now, the villagers, etc. We're just not popular with those folks. We're actually going to get along pretty well with the other folks who either have pity on us or frankly think we can benefit to them. Okay, I'm going to take a quick peek at the chat before we get started. Okay, so 7-hour difference. Thanks, Dave, for that. With daylight savings time, I never know. Okay. Hey, welcome, Bran. And Nick is definitely easier than your username. I have chat over here, so if you see me looking over here, that's why. Bran, welcome to the club. It's kind of a rite of passage to be turned into vapor form. Next up for you is to be teleported by the Titan to some random place that totally screws with all of your plans. So welcome to that. You'll also notice that the outcast starts with 0 gold. And so I have to, figure out how I'm going to get some additional things. I did want to throw out one more thing before we get started, and I know this might be a bit of overkill, but looking at the various lineages that are available, there's there's many different ways to transmogrify your outcast, right? I sincerely thought about going half orc and having no icons and going, screw it, I'm truly going to be this like bane to society, and then I'm going to be have some more might, and I'm going to have some more health, or even a dwarf, right? And the opposite side of the class card for the outcast is a hand axe, which would obviously make me better in combat. The halfling is great because of the reroll ability on hiding. There's great benefit to being a halfling outcast. To me, that's probably where, if I was a new player and I was going to play an outcast, I probably would choose that just because it'll help me with these merchants. The only one that to me maybe doesn't completely make sense is the gnome, because the gnome's special advantage. There's nice to have that extra speed. Don't get me wrong, but the special advantage of draw 3 items and keep 1 is kind of what the outcast does. Right? The outcast basically steals items and treasures. All right. Okay, so great. Enough talking. Let's get to gameplay. Okay. Let's go to a new turn. I'm also going to drag these down here, have them close to me, so that when we're doing the die rolling, it all is seamless. Okay. I thought about this, and I want to enter right here. And let's talk about why. The reason I want to enter right here is that I want a way to get to these civilization locations quickly. And you'll notice, because of how they're located, I have the ability to jaunt off into the wilderness around the edges. Just a short journey to get to my marks. Okay, so first action is we'll move here. By the way, I'm playing with all 5 terrain packs. I like playing that way, especially when I'm playing in Tabletop Simulator, where it all gets set up for you, because I just love the breadth of maps that get created. Okay, so I've moved on to the Unbroken Lands. What do we have here? We have a minor discovery. So I get to roll a few dice and receive some rewards. You'll note that gold is largely not of no value to me because I can't spend it on things at merchants. I can use it for titles, and we'll see if that comes into play a little bit later in the game. Feel free to ask your questions in the chat. I'll happily glance over there kind of at the end of each turn and respond to those. I'm going to go to this. Let's see, that's clearing 1. 1 is a swamp, so it would require my last 2 movement to go in there. You may recall we are. Oh, and by the way, optional rules. We'll play with closing the distance, and we'll play with again. I can't believe the Wandering Monsters one, where they go to specific clearings. You'll note I just got them talking about how I'm not very charismatic, so moving in with no sneak versus the Warden's probably a bad idea. Here, Dire Wolves and Centaurs, both of which are pretty fast, are a potential challenge for me. So as my final 2 actions, I will play it safe. I will sneak, and I will alert just in case there's trouble. And that's my turn 1. Let's go ahead and roll the dice. Okay, Caves and Roar, neither of which matches my tile. Again, in Tabletop Simulator, I can merely click on the button and it will read the dice for me. That's nothing comes. If I was playing live, obviously I'd look at the gray dice first. I'd say this is a cave symbol. It does not match the plain symbol for the dire wolves. This is a roar. It does not match the symbol, the scratch symbol here for the centaurs. And so turn 1 ends uneventfully. Let's take a quick peek at the spells I did choose. That's probably of value. The first is Strength. I just wanted to get a little bit more oomph to my dagger so that I could kill if I encounter single monsters, I'm going to attempt to kill them. You'll note that both of the spells I chose do wound the cube, so they're really one-time effects. One, it takes effect for the length of combat, in that if I cast it, it doesn't matter if I miss a few times. The next hit I do does extra damage. And then the other one I chose is Open Gate. This is a legacy from the previous game and frankly some past plays I've done. I love Open Gate. I need to find a gate. Once that's in play, I have a get out of jail free card, and I'm really anxious to prove that in a live stream. Okay. Yeah, thanks, Bran. Appreciate the suggestion to not get overwhelmed by kobolds. Again, I've chosen a character that has no armor, but I have every belief that I'm going to get armor. You'll notice that because I only have the 1 cube, that was the other reason I was really strongly tempted to go with a dwarf or a half orc, just so that more of the items that I might loot would be valuable for me. Okay. Let's go ahead and retrieve and go to the next turn. And now I am going to do kind of what I was built to do. I am going to enter the outpost. You'll notice on the counters there's a little 2. That's where you click in the Tabletop Simulator mod to grab the two things that you need. And in this case, there's 2 Civ tokens. And I have 2 targets. That's wonderful. That makes me very happy. Let's set up the crone. And let's set up the artificer. Okay, let's take a look at those real quick. So they're both over here. The artificer is in the swamps. 5 treasures. Let me not put the cursor over there so you can see a little bit better. 5 treasures and 3 items. And the crone has 5 treasures and 4 items. But the crone is also friendlier to me. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to be haggling with the crone. I'm going to be angering the crone. So it seems to me like the crone might be a decent target. Let's go back to my hero board real quick. And these are cleared off. I'm not alerted. One of the things that the outcast does quite a bit is the sneak. So that's my 3rd action, is to sneak. That's both preemptive because of the trouble that I might end up with these natives, and then the second thing is I want to try and loot from the crone. All right. Hey, welcome, Mini Painting. So the white die that's being rolled here, this is new in Natives and Legends, and this will determine if natives are going to come to my location. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our first loot. Let's play the outcast. I'm going to loot from the crone. So the way that works, I roll the loot dice, and I get the 4th treasure down. Now it's worth noting, here's my crone, it's worth noting that these cards are already in Tabletop Simulator, thank you George, sorted by the type they are, with missions on the bottom. I'm 97% sure. I'm going to flip that. I know that's cheating a little bit, but I just wanted to confirm. So because those are on the bottom, I can use my numeric keypad to grab the 4th item there. And I have looted the Cipher Stone. So if I come across a spell that matches my blue or purple. Let's zoom in on that. So I have purple spell cube and a blue spell cube. So if I find a spell scroll or spell book that has a blue or purple spell on it, I can use the Cipher Stone, which was part of the reveals we've done, in order to automatically learn that without having to risk getting a curse. Okay, so great. Worth 8 gold, 4 gold to me. So be it. I have to now try and stay hidden. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, I remain hidden. So that was free. There's no cost to me. I have looted this. If I had failed, in this case, because I snuck, I would have needed 2 monster icons. I would have received an outlaw token, and I would have been blocked. And then the third and final thing, in real life, you use your adventure journal for this. In this game, I usually just mark them with a pink cube. I can never interact with the crone again. Note that if I had wanted to grab a mission, I would have had to do a trade action, which is distinctly different than me trying to steal using a loot action. So I didn't have the option to look at the missions. But the truth is, I probably should take an action next turn to trade with the crone, the unaware crone, just to see if any of the missions that they have would be of value to me, especially since I have so many cunning icons. Okay, great. So that was my fourth and final action. Yeah, exactly. So Kirk, the way that works, and NB. I don't know what NB means. I can't tell if you're asking a question or informing, but right. So the truth is as you sell stuff, you put it on top of the respective pile. So if I sold my dagger, which I can do, if I sold my dagger to the merchant, I would put it on the top of the items, thereby making the items that are already there a little more accessible. And so I like it as the outcast when other heroes sell their stuff to the merchants, because then that makes the merchant stuff more accessible. And also note, I have no idea what the crone has. I'm just blindly looting, grabbing whatever I can and running out the door. But at no point do I have the ability to browse what it is that the crone, what she has for sale. Okay, that was the end of turn 2. We roll the dice here to determine what's happening. And so if I had remained in those plains, I would have gotten some monsters. I actually would have gotten both the dire wolves and the centaurs. They both match this tile. Luckily, I left. You'll note here that we do have a cunning symbol, and there might be natives that come to this particular site. And the way this civilization location, and the way that you do that in the Tabletop Simulator mod, is you merely click on the N on the civilization token. In this case, the bodyguards and the rogues have arrived, neither of which is probably going to molest me, but I still do need to roll the dice to see the reaction. Now, when you're playing the real game, there are a couple different ways that you can do this. One is you're going to have these title cards set up, right? And you know, we've used a bit of extra space here to have the location, the place for these native chips, but you'll have those in the monster tray or in a native tray, so you won't pull those out. You'll just have these cards here. So we've organized them: cunning across the top, wisdom in the middle, and charisma on the bottom, and you can see who goes to what locations. So I am at the outpost, which is where the consul will go. He'll go to some other locations as well, the consul and the bodyguard. The wardens obviously are at the outpost. And then the final cunning that we rolled is the rogues will go to the inn or the outpost. Now, I recognize that might not be the most efficient way to look at this information. And so on the back page here of the Natives and Legends rulebook is this native summoning table that just shows you at a glance, hey, if I'm at the outpost and I roll cunning, oh, the council and the rogues go there. And so I think this will be a handy reference for people. Okay. Let's go back to our game in progress. So just where we picked up is, or where we left off is that I'm in a clearing with natives, and therefore I have to roll the haggle dice to, in essence, see how insulting I am in general. If I don't roll any closed doors, nothing happens. So in this case, nothing happens. But let's say that this instead had been the closed door symbol. When that happens, I look at the other die, and that's a 4. I then compare it to the number of icons that I have on my card. I have 4 cunning icons, I have 3 wisdom icons, and I have 1 charisma. That means that if it's equal to or less than the number of icons I have, those folks are okay with me. So anybody, any natives that respect cunning would have no problem with me whatsoever. However, if I had rolled that 4 and a door, the wisdom and the charisma natives that are in the clearing with me would instantly want to fight me unless I buy them off. Okay, so let's take a quick peek here. Again, just pretending that I had rolled a 4. In this case, the rogues would have been totally fine with me. The bodyguard and the consul, who's underneath, would have been totally fine with that. The wardens, on the other hand, would have been insulted by me, and they would fight me unless I was willing to pay them 1 gold for each native in the group, in which case it would have cost me 3 gold. And if I didn't have 3 gold or chose not to pay 3 gold, we're going into battle. That would trigger the hide reaction, right? Meaning I could try to hide from them, maybe run away, etc. Okay, so that's how insults work in the game. If there are any questions, feel free to throw those in the chat. Okay, so great. Nobody felt insulted. That's good. So let's go here. Let's do the new turn, and I'm going to save that. Every once in a while we have an autosave which locks the game for just a second or two, so patience when that occurs. Okay, so we're in turn 3, and I am still in this clearing. Okay, so I'm going to kind of stick to the plan here. I'm going to trade with the crone. I want to take a look at those, and there's no great way to do this in Tabletop Simulator that I know. I guess I know one way. All right, I'm just going to do this. I know there are 3 missions with the crone, so I'm going to take a look this way at those missions. And look, the outcast can earn some money and use their great charisma, of which I have 1 icon. None of those seem very valuable to me, right? Why do I need to earn gold? Granted, I can buy titles with it, but or buy items from other heroes, but that's not going to be great. So we're just going to put those right back on the crone. We're going to do a second trade action with the artificer. There are 2 here, and again it's another expedition. Look at that. Terrible missions for me. So I've wasted 2 actions trying to talk to these people who don't do anything that's a benefit to me. Now, if there was an atrocity mission or something that required, that had cunning as a symbol, that gets kind of interesting at that point, right? Because I would be rolling 4 extra dice. Okay, so cool. All right, so that's 3 actions. I have 1 action left. Note that, let's pretend I had some gold. Probably not a great idea to hire folks, just because I'm insulting and I can get into trouble. And so I don't want to do anything. I don't have any gold, so that helps with that decision process. But I'm going to loot from the crone again. So we're going to try and thieve from the crone. There's the autosave right in the middle of my die roll. 5. God, I saw 2. I was all excited. Okay. Look at this. What a great find for me. I blindly reach into the shop and steal some leathers, which I'm going to equip immediately. Okay, let's see about hiding. And because I snuck, I do remain hidden. We're all okay. 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 Yeah. So the here's what you missed. Is that a play on vapor form? Yeah. So you roll anytime you are in a clearing with natives is when you roll. So I'm gonna have to roll again to see if I insult anybody. As of right now, I'm not hidden, but I'm snuck. I did sneaking again. No trouble. So I'm just the beggar on the street corner, perhaps, that nobody cares about. Actually, sorry, I needed to roll these dice first. Because there's a possibility of new natives coming to the clearing. Okay? I'm in a civilization location right now, so as of this moment, these other dice don't matter. We can kind of zoom in on that one. Again, let's take a quick peek at the rules, just to do this manually. The outpost, the soldiers, and the wardens would show up. The wardens always stay there. They would come back if for some reason they moved off the map, but the soldiers should arrive. So let's go and make that happen. All right. So again, I'm just going to keep that same roll just for simplicity, but I didn't offend anybody. But think of how hairy it gets for this outcast now, in that, you know, we have wardens who might not be happy with me, soldiers who don't like me. Yeah, sneaking and staying hidden. If I fail one of those hide rolls, I could be in trouble, because if I steal from the crone and then I'm unhidden, or I fail my hide roll, I'm blocked. If you're blocked, you're unhidden, and you do not get a hide reaction. So suddenly I'm in a bit of trouble in that I would have, 3 wardens and 4 soldiers. That's 7 gold I need to pay them off if I didn't want to fight, if I did offend them. And right now I have 3. So I'm certainly at some risk right now continuing with this strategy. Again, just like last time I did this, if you folks want to see some mechanic in the game, or have a suggestion for a strategy for me to try, feel free. That's kind of fun. You can play along as well. Correct, Bran. He cannot browse. He's blindly stealing. But the beauty there, right, is if I know that, say I'm playing with, the knight is being played by you, and you go and you sell a bunch of stuff to the crone, that's rich pickings for me. I'm going to go try and steal that stuff. Okay, great. Next turn, we're gonna risk it one more turn. There's some great other places to go that are not a far distance away. This map was just tailor-made for the outcast. So I'm gonna sneak as my first action. I already know they have nothing of value to me from a missions perspective, so I don't care too much if I upset these folks, other than obviously wanting to get to make sure I'm safe with these natives. Okay, let's loot from the crone again. Treasure 5. Are we getting into the items now? We are. So now I've looted some chainmail. Oops, let's just show that real quick. So I've looted some chainmail. Has a weight of 2, so I need at least 2 mic cubes to be able to equip it. I look at that and I go, that's 7 gold to me. Okay, so we're gonna put that right there. That's 2 actions I've done. Let me think for 2 seconds. Yep, we're gonna. Oh, I gotta roll to hide. That's the kind of the point of this character. I'm gonna put these up here so I remember. Now let's try and stay hidden. Thank goodness I snuck. I'm okay. We're gonna loot one more time from the crone, and I'll explain why in a moment. 5. All right, there are still 6 treasures in that pile, so I'll grab, or things there. A buckler, also pretty valuable to me. All right, let's see if I stay hidden. Remember, there's about an 11% chance of me failing this hide each turn when I sneak. So it is fairly substantial, and obviously you're spending a lot of time here, and most natives don't like you, so therefore it's a bit of a risk every time you do this. I have 1 action left. God, I wish I wouldn't have looted a good treasure or a good item, the buckler. the truth is I kind of wanted to get something that I couldn't use, and then my next action was to sell them to the artificer so I had gold to pay off the natives at the end of this turn if they got upset with me. But I think what I'm going to do is one more loot again from the crone. I have one more time where I'm going to for sure get something. So let's go ahead and loot it. The second treasure. So I'm actually getting a treasure this time. So that's great. And I got a spell book, which is also great because I think I'm going to try to learn, some spells this game. Let's look at what I got. I have divination, disorient, and affliction, none of which I can cast. Dang it. Well, that means I'm going to be selling it for 6 gold next turn. But okay, so great. Let's equip that. Might as well. No harm in doing so since I have the room. And let's attempt to stay hidden. This is my last turn of significant vulnerability. I'm okay. Yeah, it's interesting, Brand, you say that. Finding the symbol of stealth would be great, or even the symbol of greed, because you get that extra loot. The other thing that would be valuable is just start out as a human. If you're a human outcast, you're going to be spending more time in civilization, right? The outcast is kind of built to play around the edges of civilization. And so having that extra action, which can be a loot or can be a hide or a sneak, is actually pretty valuable. Hey, Gerasimos, welcome. Thanks for your posts and whatnot. I really appreciate it. Okay, so great. Let's roll for summoning. All the natives are already there, so this is probably academic, but we're still going to do it. Yep, they're already there, all the cunning folks, so I'm not even going to click on the button. Let's see if I've insulted anybody. This would be I plan on selling some stuff, so I'm okay. I'm getting pretty lucky. Nobody's insulted by me, so we will retrieve and do a new turn. Okay, cool. Turn 5, and I haven't scored anything. I haven't really done anything, but I am much better equipped than I was before. And just a quick note, if you look at this, I have the ability to do 3 damage if I really need to with that dagger via the strength spell. So I feel actually like I've had some decent success. Okay. All right, next turn. First thing I'm going to do a trade action. And I'm going to hold on to this. God, it's 8 gold though. I'm for sure going to sell the chainmail for 14. And I'm going to sell this spell scroll. This is 6, but which means 3 for me. So I'm at 10 gold. And so I'm selling them. Let me just do this. Oops. 2 and 3. Okay. The reason I'm separating these out is, and it's a peculiarity with Tabletop Simulator that you wouldn't face in your real game, but I'm going to put those right here. Those are attached to this spell scroll. This spell scroll, as I said before, goes on top of the pile. Hang on while it saves. Okay. And then there are, how many treasures did I say there were? There's 5. So we have to remove 1, and then we're going to put them right back. 2, 3, 4. You obviously won't have this kind of fiddliness when you play the real game, but the point being that this chainmail, which is an item, just goes right there. And now let's put these back, and again reverse it so that they're in the same order they were before. So yeah, in hindsight, I wasted an action by looking at those missions. I probably should have waited till I sold stuff to him, but I do have 13 gold now. Now the reason that's important is I'm going to sneak still just to try and continue to stay hidden. But if I get into trouble, if I do get caught and I get into trouble with these with these natives up here. I have enough gold now to pay off the wardens and the soldiers, so I feel a little bit safer. What I want to do is try stealing some of the things that from the artificer, just so that I can maybe get something useful for one of these slots, right? There's usually some good stuff. It's a little bit of a crapshoot. How long do I want to push my luck here to kind of equip up? Okay, so second action was sneak. Third action is I will take a loot. And I get the 5th treasure from the top. Symbol of rest. Something I'll probably sell. Let's see if I stay hidden. I do. And for my 4th and final action, we are going to attempt to steal from the artificer as well. Or again. Okay. 5th treasure. There we go. There we go. Hey, good thing I sold that stupid spell book. Right? So let's just take a peek at what I just got. I didn't need to sell the spell book. That's the other part. If I wouldn't have sold the spell book, I could have used the Tome of Wizardry to get a spell cube that matches one of the items in there. This also makes me believe that it might be worthwhile to stick around, except that I know that the spell book I sold is on the very top of that pile, so I would have to roll grabby hands or a 1 in order to get it. And that doesn't seem to make much sense. Yeah, Patrick, I looted it. I stole it from the crone. I got a buckler and leathers. I started out without any. So I'd like to claim I'm learning, but probably not. Okay, so I have to stay hidden. And I'm okay. I'm not going to use the Tome of Wizardry yet. That's a decent amount of gold in case I want to buy a title later. It's kind of fun to play with the outcast and go, gold doesn't really mean anything. Removing curses, there's value there. But outside of that, not so much. We're going to roll, again, academic because everybody's already there. The key thing here is my haggle roll. And again, I'm okay. All right, we're gonna head off now. I was hoping I was gonna loot a little bit of a better weapon, but the reality is I'm not strong enough to use it anyway. So, okay, that's the end of the turn. We are now on to turn 6. Okay, let's do some things. Let's get me out from under the pile. I need suggestions about where I could go. I feel like I've got enough. I don't need more gold, so I feel like I should go off adventuring a little bit. I feel like I've gotten a little bit stronger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 1, 2. There you go. The crypt is in location 5. Let's take a look at the crypt. This is for you, Bran, right? Because the crypt is where the lich is. So, yeah, interesting. Okay, let's go back here. Oops, go back here. I have done 2 actions. I see the crypt. The crypt is in 5, which would require both of my actions to get there, leaving me fairly vulnerable. So I think I will sneak and alert. Now, alerting doesn't necessarily do me much good because if you look here, if I'm attacking with my dagger, I can only use 5 cubes. If I'm casting one of these spells, I'm replacing the purple or blue cube with replacing the red cube on the dagger with a spell cube. So I don't think alert really doesn't do me any good, but neither does anything else at this point. So maybe there's something to find, I guess, in that clearing. Nope, there's nothing. So I'll just alert. Makes me feel like I'm being smart. Okay, let's roll the dice. See what happens. Okay, plains. I'm in a swamp, so nothing comes. stench. I'm with a roar, so nothing comes. And then, we can ignore this. Again, I'm playing a solo game here, right? You ignore the white die if you are not in a location with natives. So, all right, nothing comes. I should have made a run for it, huh? So, your question. So, one is the sneak. Oops. One is to say I have snuck this turn. The other, and I should probably be doing it, but is if I successfully hide, then you mark that your status is hidden by putting the cube there. And that allows you, the beauty of that is that allows you now, you just leave it there unless end of the turn you take it off, or if you move to a new clearing, you're required to take that off as well. So that just marks the hide status. Okay, nothing came. It was an uneventful turn. Did I click on this? Somebody remind me. I think I did, right? We're at the beginning of turn 6, is that right? Or turn 7. Somebody remind me. I'm going to sit here all day long until somebody puts in the chat whether it's turn 6 or 7. See, I'm talking so much I lost track. I think it's turn 7 now. We're just going to go with that. Okay, great. I'm going to spend 2 actions to move to the crypt. Now, I am going to search for said crypt. If I had gotten 1 success, I might be tempted, but sorry, these should have been cleared off. Because I got nothing, I'm going to do a sneak action. Excuse me. Apologize for that, folks. Okay. So let's go ahead and roll the dice. I have arrived and I'm sneaking, trying to be clever. That's a terrible roll for me because I match on swamps. So let's go ahead and bring them in. Giant serpents, and note that they go, using that optional rule, they go to clearing 6, which George has implemented into the mod. So they arrive there, not in my clearing. But unfortunately, that is going to bring the big bad to my clearing. So the Lich is with me and will attempt to block me, thereby triggering a hide reaction. And I do successfully hide. So now I need to think if I want to try and go after him. I don't have a gate to get away from, to instantly get out of jail free card. If I to kill this guy, I would have to use my dagger and hit the Lich once. Then I would have to cast Strength and then hit the Lich a second time, or hit the Lich 3 times. Let's take a look at that so I can explain it. Lich has a health of 4 and is not armored, so my dagger would do 2 damage, but hitting it once just causes 1 wound because it's not enough to kill it. So I'd have to hit it 3 times before it hits me, 3 times. I have a chance. Opinion? Want to see me fight the Lich? See how that goes down? See how well that works out for me? Let me think. Brand said at the beginning that he was turned into a vapor form by the Lich, and he felt kind of honored. Okay, so do I do this? I kind of feel like I do. Kind of feel like I want to. You know what? We're going to play it safe. And the main reason we're going to play it safe is the last time I did a live stream, I died. And I don't want to die this early. So we are going to leave, we're just going to remain silent and let combat end. All right, let's go to the new turn. First thing I'm going to do is sneak. Because at the end of one action, I'm in a clearing with a monster, I have to try and stay hidden, and I am hidden. So that's where who was it that asked the question? Yeah, here's what you missed. Why isn't this? There you go. So that's where I would mark that I am hidden. This remains in place until I fail a hide check after an ambush. I leave the clearing. There's a couple other things. I voluntarily unhide, or something happens that causes me to become unhidden. Okay, so I am hidden. That was one action. I can now search in complete safety for the crypt. There we go. And finally, I'm on the board. And that allows me to now loot the crypt. So let's do that. I get the 5th treasure. And that is in the mountains. Okay, that's pretty good for me. So this goes in a weapons slot. So if I do it, I have to get rid of my buckler or my dagger. And I didn't grab an attack spell. Now I do get, the point there is I do get a legend point and 5 fame. I do have open gate, which is a targeted spell. So the wand of the magician, what that does is I can reroll 1 or 2 hit dice on each hit dice roll. So it doesn't impact the open gate unless I was trying to gate away a monster. So I'm going to actually put this in my backpack. I'm not going to equip it. I'm going to do as my 3rd action, I'm going to do my 4th and final action, a loot again. And I get the 5th treasure if there is one. There is. Okay. Can anybody tell me why that's a pretty stellar find for the outcast? The shadow cloak. In addition to the points I earned. Yeah, the only way to get rid of vapor form, just like shapeshift, is a permanent spell, which means it is always there, but not always active. And so in the presence of the right color of magic, either because it's an enchanted tile or you were to wound and for vapor form a gray cube, you turn back into your regular self at the end of the next action phase. But the challenge is that if you ever are in the presence of gray magic, it's involuntary. You turn into vapor. It's a permanent spell. Excuse me. Seems like I did this last time I blew my nose. I apologize. Shadow Cloak is an amazing find for the outcast because the Shadow Cloak allows you to re-roll a hide reaction. You re-roll both dice, but so if I loot and get caught, I can re-roll the dice to maybe stay hidden. So that is an epic find for me. Okay, let's roll the dice. See what happens. Okay, so again, that's funny. I rolled the same thing. So this is entertaining. So first off, because a die matches, so if you ever roll the symbol that's on the tile, the monsters that are in the tile move to you first. That's the first thing that happens. Then new monsters come. And in this case, these 3 giant serpents are going to go to clearing 3. So this is fast becoming a pretty dangerous place for me for that reason. Note that the Lich would have arrived if he was already there. This die would not cause monsters to move within the tile. And it's worth noting that let's pretend I was over here, and we roll. Let's just pretend, just for a moment, that this is what had happened, right? Go back to the way it was. Pretend these serpents aren't here. When I roll this symbol, this swamp symbol, these serpents would have moved to me, and the lich would have moved to me because this matches. Then, because of the sight symbol, this lich, when you roll the sight symbol, monsters return to their guardians, return to their sight. And so this would have been the situation at the end of this roll. Now, I'm not there at this monster activation. I did move here, so they all came to me. I'm already hidden from before, so I don't need to re-roll, but it's starting to get a little hot in here. So we probably won't be sticking around here, because if I fail a hide roll, I know I have the shadow cloak, but if I fail a hide roll, I might be in trouble. Let's think about this. 4 treasures left. All right. So my first action is, so these all clear off. My first action is I will sneak. I'm going to try and get one more treasure out of there. So let's do that. I have to try and hide. And I'm okay. I'm going to try and loot at least one more treasure out of that site. 5 is not good enough. There are 4 treasures there. So my third action will be a loot. 5 again. There we go. So I got to zoom in on that just for Kirk's benefit. I rolled grabby hands, 2 grabby hands. When you roll 2 grabby hands like that, that's the best roll you can get. You get to look at the top 3 treasures and keep any one of them. So the Vein Blade, the Armageddon Hammer, or the Elven Slippers. So the Armageddon Hammer, I'm not even near strong enough to swing, but it would get me points. The Elven Slippers would get me points. The Vein Blade, if I find... Oh, a couple things on the Vein Blade. Let's kind of go up here. It's a little hard to see because of the text that's over the top. But you can only equip the Vein Blade if you have 3 or more charisma icons. You may recall, I have 1 charisma icon, so I can't even use the Vein Blade. I don't have green magic. This is worth more gold. Gold's not going to be important to me. I could use we're going to do this. We're going to take the Elven Slippers, because I can use the Tome of Wizardry to create a green cube if I wish. And I have nothing on my feet, so I'll put that on. That is worth some points to me. 5 fame and 1 LP. Yep. That's the right call, Bran, is I think to grab the Elven Slippers, just because I can use them. I can use them in the future because I have this Tome of Wizardry. Okay. Cool. So it was worth me sticking around. Right? And that was my 4th action. So it is time to see what occurs. Okay, planes and the sight symbol, so nothing happens because I'm not in planes and the guy's already with me. Okay, on to the next turn. In case you aren't figuring it out, unless I were to get a better weapon, or if I had chosen to be, say, a dwarf or a half-orc, where I had a little bit more might. And by the way, if I had chosen to be a dwarf, let's just do this real quick. If I had chosen to be a dwarf, I would have played on this side. I would have only had 1 spell, but I would have had a hand axe instead. It just dawned on me that I shorted myself 1 spell. I get 2, and then I get 1 for the elf. Sorry for that, folks. I'm not gonna think about it too much. I'm just gonna I'll grab Iron Skin as my other spell, just because, so I'm not cheating too much. Okay, so apologize for that, folks. And just to be clear, what I'm talking about here is I chose this side of the outcast card, which is 2 spells, and then I get +1 spell for being the elf. So these are my starting spells. Yeah, I agree, Bran. If I had chosen to be human, no, I still would have only had two. There's no way for the outcast to ever use the vein blade unless I were to find a treasure that gives me some extra charisma. Okay, cool. Again, I'm open to suggestions on strategy, but I think it is time to get the heck out of Dodge. We're going to move. We're going to go 3 actions in total to the Tri-Peaks. And I get a minor discovery. So let's do this in order. The first thing that happens is I get that bonus. So we roll 2 dice. Hopefully I'll roll fame and not gold. Spoke too fast. 23 gold. Okay, then let's come back up here. We grab a new another token. That's what that plus symbol means. Is you also place 1 additional token. And in this case, a treasure came. There's a treasure here as well. So let's go grab a random treasure off the pile. Oops. And I got a spell book. This could be really good. This could be really, really good. So, Envenom, Elemental, and Curse. So this looks good, right? Because I have green, and there's a spell I can learn, I'm going to use the Tome of Wizardry, and I'll just put it here, to get a green spell cube. And then I will equip the spell book into the slot formerly occupied by that. So let's just talk about what that does for me. There's just 2 things. Number 1 is because I have a green cube, I can learn this spell. I can only learn a spell if the spell book on which it is face up. In this case, it is. And then secondarily, that also allows me to place a cube here. So technically speaking, I have a speed of 5 if I really wanted it. I could put 4 cubes here, and I could put the green cube in the elven slippers, and I can run away at a speed of 5. So I am officially playing the Outcast completely in a roleplay situation. That is correct, Bran. The plus symbol is new to natives and legends. Okay, so, and then the final thing I'll do is I'm going to sneak, which again, I didn't remember to remove the cube. So let's roll the dice to see what happens. All right, Plains and Carrion, neither of which matches, so nothing comes. We move on, and we're at turn 11. So I always like doing a check right at the beginning of turn 11 to see how I'm doing. I have, if I'm in a civilization location at the end of the game, I have 6 LPs. I'm a third of the way through. 6 times 3 is 18. So I'm just a touch behind schedule, but not too bad. Yeah, exactly, Bran. This is new to Legends and Natives and Legends, that whole plus symbol on wilderness tokens. Okay, there's nothing for me here. You know, the downside of having all these civ locations is there are no treasure sites over here. And it's not exactly the friendliest to move around this particular tile. But I'm really fast, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I think my days of hiding, of sneaking, are over because I have a shadow cloak and I can run away really fast. So hopefully I don't waste too many actions by having monsters appear. So here's my plan. I'm thinking I'm going to go this way through the quiet bog, maybe up through here, and maybe come back out at the keep there and see what I can do. Maybe let's take a quick moment. So if I can find the elves, I can give them the elven slippers for an LP. So that's good. The knights that I'm talking about are looking for folks who've killed monsters, a lot of monsters. So 30 fame value from monsters. I'm nowhere near that, But boy, there's 3 points just waiting for me. So maybe the play for me is to be a bit more aggressive than I have been as it relates to monsters. Okay, so I move 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's roll the dice. Did I roll these dice? Yeah, I did. The carrion, and it was not a match. So, all right, on to the next turn. I count on you guys to keep me honest here, by the way. Yeah, Minnie, if I'm choosing to not do it just yet, but you're right. I can't cast it right now. I could. Oh, you know what? That's a great. Thanks, Minnie. Yeah, you're watching out for me. I was gonna say I didn't want to spend the time to learn the spell, but I forgot that I have the Cipher Stone. So we're going to use the Cipher Stone. And again, its ability is learn one spell automatically, right? And I think it's during a, let me just make sure I'm playing my own game right. I think it's during a learn spells action. Let me check. It must be used before dice are rolled. Counts as 2 automatic success die rolls. Okay, so my first action is I'm going to take a learn spells action, and then I'm going to use the Cipher Stone to learn Elemental. When you learn a spell, you get a legend point and 5 fame. I'm becoming quite the wizard here. Now you'll note that I can't even cast a spell unless I enchant the tile. Let's look at what monsters can come to that particular tile. Tri-peaks are juvenile dragons and ogres. Interesting. And if I enchant the tile, it doesn't affect me. Okay, so we're going to spend our next 3 actions to enchant the tile. And I'm going to place a green cube in said tile because I believe that I will be able to hide if any trouble comes my way because of my cloak. So let's do that. Kirk taught me a little trick of just increasing in the Tabletop Simulator, increasing the size a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. So there you go. There are my 4 actions. I'm pausing here because I might want to cast an elemental spell if I get some monsters. Woods and scratches, neither of which brings anybody to this tile. So much for that plan. Okay. Cool. Questions so far on anything? Oh, is the audio low? I didn't know that. Let me look and see if I take a quick moment to see. It is audio inputs all the way up. Let me move this closer. Is that a little bit better? Is it better now, the sound? Nobody's ever told me in my life that I'm too quiet. Okay, let's just go ahead and keep going. I know there's a small delay. I'll check back on that in just a moment. I'm going to go 1, 2 to the Foul Swamp just to see what's there. And it is merely an item. It's the same. Okay. I will... yeah, I don't know what the problem there would be. I will make sure I speak loud. Okay, so I have 2... I've used 2 actions. I moved in here. I got an item. Again, items, now that I'm kind of treasured up, not necessarily that valuable for me. It's an iron helm, which I cannot use because I am not strong enough. Again, that is the fact that I would love if I had found a leather helm, but yeah, I can't leverage that. Okay. What do I do here? I'm going to go to here, and then the final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to alert. So I'm alerting, not sneaking, as my 4th and final action in the Foul Swamp. I'm going to move these dice up here now, because I'll be moving a little bit north. Okay. So monsters return. It's worth noting that this return symbol impacts natives as well. So we're going to have a whole bunch of monsters going back home. And then no monsters are summoned here. So any tile, so first off, if there were any monsters in my tile, they would move to my location. There are none. Any monsters or natives that are in a clearing that, in a tile that does not have a hero are returned to the monster tray. So they disappear from the map. So we can get rid of all of these folks, all of these monsters, that is. And then these as well. Now you'll notice that the wardens are permanent on the map, so they do not return. But these folks do. These natives all go away. This is how you, one way that you can get it so that a site becomes, a civilization location becomes safer for you. Okay, cool. So here we are. Alone in our tile, spoiling for a fight, and can't seem to get one. I will go 1, 2, 3, and again, probably alert. Okay, so this is another example brand of what we were talking about before. So this is a civilization location that occurs in a wilderness tile, and it has the plus symbol. This is new to natives and legends. So first thing we do is we draw another token. There's my gate, and it's in 5. So let me get this out of the way. There we go. Come on. Tabletop Simulator. Okay. So great. So we have a gate in 5. What's great about this, we'll come back to that. And then the second thing is we place the civilization location, and it is also in 5. So we have, this is actually kind of cool. So let's just go ahead and put it like this for the moment. Okay. So we now have the encampment in this location with a gate, and that means there are 2 potential targets for me, the scholar and, well, just the scholar because the rest of it's empty. So, great. The scholar, we can take a peek at him in just a moment, but the reason this is really valuable is now that there's a gate on the map, my open gate spell, which only requires 1 cube, is yet another way to run away from trouble. Okay, cool. I like me. So, what I will do is, do I want to go there? And that is clearing 5, which is a swamp, so I can't go there anyway. So I will alert. So alert action. All right. Let's roll the dice. So what's cool about these hidden civilization locations? There are 3 of them that can be in a wilderness tile. And what's cool is you can actually have the mix of natives and monsters all arriving. So let's do this in order. First we process this. We rolled it last time, so there's nobody else to return, but if there were monsters in this clearing, they would move to me. Next we have the stench. I'm going to carry in tile, so nothing happens. And then we have wisdom. We can click on this to check, but you may recall that nobody wise goes to the encampment. Kind of like how it's a good idea to stay out of bars, to stay out of trouble, if you're a pro athlete. Okay, cool. So kind of an uneventful monster game so far, but let's see where this takes us. Again, I'm going to stick with my plan. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just moving on through. I know that I can't cast my elemental spell, but that's okay. All right. Again, I rolled mountains and stench. Nothing comes. I did roll the charisma, and we know that that brings the sellswords to the encampment. So it's probably a good idea that I didn't stick around, because these guys are not friends of mine. Okay. It's interesting. You know, one of Natives and Legends adds the ability to hire folks. You always have to start with the highest numbered native. So even though these folks don't like me, I could hire this person at without haggling at 4 times their fame value. So it would cost me 20 gold if I wanted to hire that guy, and I have 23 gold. The other benefit that gives me, in addition to the fact that now I have a henchman, is that when you hire a member of a native group, that native group will not be insulted by you during the length of that person's hire. So I could, but I feel like I'm behind schedule, and I ain't got time for that. Okay, so let's retrieve our token, and let's go to turn 15. I will. Oh, this is gonna be slow going. 1, 2. Well, that's good. Okay, now we're getting some action. I found the Forbidden City. So first things first, that gives me some points. Okay. I think I gave myself one too many, but we'll deal with that later. I think I had 27, so I should be at 32. The thing that the Forgotten City does, and this is from the base game, is you draw 1 token of each type, from each terrain type. So we get an item, we get a site. Let's do the site. The hideout is in 3, so I do also get an item. Let's grab that. I found a sling, which I can use, but I think I'm going to stick with my dagger, a little more dependable. Okay, the wrecked wagons are in 1. So hideout in 3, 2 treasure sites. And then there's a campfire somewhere in this tile. Let's go ahead and draw the wilderness token. And there's another site. So this worked out to be great. This site is also in 3. Wow. Wow. That's amazing. Okay. Let's what is that? There we go. Okay. So that is in clearing 3 as well. Let's set up the altar. Let's actually adjust this slightly, Tabletop Simulator wise. Okay, and then the campfire is somewhere here. Let's move this off to the side. The campfire is in clearing 5. Okay, cool. Not the greatest selection for where you wanted to put your campfire, but that's pretty cool. And at this campfire is a vendor, the world's worst located mall, and the smuggler. So this is great. I can spend some time here because I can steal stuff from these folks. I could sell back and forth. And at the campfire, the folks who could come are the Bashkers, who are my friends, and the elves. Remember, I want to sell my elven slippers to the elves. So this has got a lot of potential. I've moved 1, 2, and we're just going to go 3, 4. I was complaining when I first saw this tile. I'm actually really happy now. Let's go ahead and roll the dice. And I rolled caves and claws, neither of which match, and I get no elves at the campfire. Okay. Yeah, Brand, that worked out to be a great. This is a great tile for me. I'm gonna spend some time here. Okay, let's. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Let's retrieve the tokens and move on to the next turn. And we're gonna go right there and save that location. We are turn 16. So again, let's take a quick check. Halfway through the game, I am at 9. if I retire in a civ location. So I'm actually doing, I feel like I'm doing better now than I was before because I got a lot of potential for this stuff. Okay, what did I say was here? The altar and the hideout. So this is where it gets interesting. Although I didn't say so at the start of the game, and I didn't actually set these. I like playing on the second side of all of these. You can do this randomly, or you can choose a side. The back side of these are more difficult, and in this case, the hideout. I'm going to hover over that. When found, take one random wound if you don't have the skeleton key. I don't have the skeleton key, and technically speaking, it is possible that that wound could be my heart, resulting in my insta-death. So that's not fun. I think I'll search for the altar. All right, let's do the altar. The altar is that the other one I said was here, right? Yep, the altar. So I'm going to search for the altar as my first action. I'm going to take a second search action for the altar. There we go. 2, 3, 4. I'm only going to give myself 4 because I think I gave myself 1 extra last time. Okay, so the altar is the other guy, speaking to you, Bran, that you need to experience at some point in the game. The demon is there, and the demon can drop you into a fiery pit. Okay, I found it. I'm going to loot it. Loot the altar. The third treasure from the altar. Okay, that's a good find for me. Because now I can... So let's just zoom in on what I found. I found the robust ring, which doesn't give me any points, which would be nice to have. But it does give me an extra heart while I have it on. So now I can search for the hideout with impunity. I dig it. Okay, we're going to push our luck. Again, we're kind of leveraging the fact that we have the shadow cloak. I'm going to loot. I'm not going to alert. I'm not going to sneak. I'm not going to any of that. The fifth treasure at the altar. So let's go here. There are exactly 5 treasures. And I get the peace pendant. Okay, we're going to equip that. The peace pendant, if I put a might cube and a speed cube on it, combat ends. It casts the peace spell. And the peace spell is right here. Right, combat ends in the clearing. It has a length of 40. I'm playing with closing the distance, so I could terminate combat really quickly. I feel like I'm having a lot of luck. This is kind of fun. Having a lot of luck with my loots and that kind of thing. Okay, let's go ahead and roll the dice to see who comes. Forest and orcs. You'll notice there are 2 dice symbols next to the orc head on the tile, and that means you sum these 2 dice to determine how many orcs come. So we're going to get 2 orcs coming to my clearing. It's worth noting that they come directly to me. All the monsters on the right are the local monsters, and they come directly. Let's take a peek at whether I want to fight these guys or not. Let's do a hide roll just to start. Okay. I did not sneak, so that's a failure. My shadow cloak allows me to reroll, but I have to reroll both dice. And I am unhidden, so I'm blocked. Technically, I should flip my token over. And now I'm going to fight these guys, and I think I want to do it. And the reason I want to do it is I need the fame. One of the things I think about combat is a fame generator for you during combat where it doesn't require actions. I have 16 fame, which combined with my 37 fame, that's worth two points to me if I kill both of these folks. So, folks, both of these monsters. So I'm willing to risk my leathers and my buckler in order to make that happen. So yeah, I mean, I talk about how I am going to fight these guys. Well, I'm blocked. I have to at least do one round of combat. Let's look at what happens here. Again, I could cast Open Gate to just get out of jail free. But in this particular case, the attack speeds of these guys are 2 and 2 or 1. So, or 0. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 here. It's too bad I didn't enchant the tile. I could bring some help to me. So that's 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put a cube here. And I didn't alert, so I can play 5 cubes total. That would be my 5 cubes. Now let me think about, you know what, just because, yeah, just because I can and because I'll show you how that works then, is I'm actually going to put one on the Elven Slippers. That's the equivalent of putting a brown cube down here. It counts as both a cube and a box, so even if I'd filled up all these boxes, I could still use the Elven Slippers. But, okay. That is the way. Hey, too bad I couldn't use that vein sword because I have, well, I guess I don't have 2 might cubes. Yeah. Okay, so is that what I want to do? If this guy flips over, you know, we're going to play this a little bit riskier. I'm going to put 2 cubes up here in my attack speed, and I am going to target the bow orc, because if I hit him once, he's dead. So why is that? I do 1 damage plus a sword, which is 2 damage. Both of these folks are orcs are armored, so it reduces it by 1. I can 1-hit the bow orc. I have to hit the sword orc twice. Okay, so like it or not, that's what we're gonna do. And by the way, the only reason I'm doing this is I got armor to waste. So let's roll the dice. Neither one flips. We go in an order of attack length with closing the distance on the first round. This sword orc has an attack length of 10. So this orc goes first, an attack speed of 2 versus my maneuver speed of 2. And so we roll the dice, and equal symbols are hits, not misses. So I want at least 1 blank to show up here. Okay, so he hits me with a strength of 3 plus a sword, so 4. And I have 3 choices. I can take it here on the body, thereby destroying the leathers and giving me a wound. I can always choose to block 1 attack with my buckler, or I could choose to have it hit me in the head and not use my buckler and die. I don't want to die. So I am going to use the buckler to take that hit. It is destroyed. It is destroyed. Sorry, let me just, for those who are noobs, it's destroyed because he hits me with a strength of 4, but I cancel 1 sword. So it hits me with a strength of 3. 3 is bigger than the armor value of the buckler, and because it's larger, it destroys it outright. So that happens. The golden rule of combat, of damage, is anytime you're hit, you die or you take 1 wound. So I'm going to wound this cube. Am I going to wound that cube? I'm going to wound this cube. Yep, I'm going to wound that cube. And the reason I'm wounding that cube is it's possible I could want to cast one of these 2 spells in a future round. Okay, that was round 1. That did not go very well. Now I wish I had targeted the sword orc because I would have hit him, and then this round I could kill him. You know what? We're going to play the long game. I'm going to aim at the sword orc. If he flips over, he's got a speed of 2. I have an attack speed of 2, so my hope is that he doesn't flip. Oh, wait. Sorry, I haven't done anybody else's stuff yet. I forgot. Next up is the tie between us. Now, I have an attack speed of 2, so attack length is 0. My dagger, and in essence, a dagger for this bow orc. But because my speed's 2, I go first. So let's see if I hit this guy. Equal symbols. My attack speed is 2. His maneuver speed is 3, which means equals or misses. I miss him. Does he hit me? He misses me. Okay, so now we're on to the next round. Yeah, I agree, Bran. I got to save the blue. That's my get out of jail free card. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to target this sword orc. I'm going to leave these the same. I have faith that I am going to persevere here. Let's see if these guys flip over. This guy does, which is not good because now he's doing a ranged attack against me. Okay. Okay, so we now, second round of combat, closing the distance no longer applies. We're now close in, supposedly. So now we look at our attack speed. All of us have an attack speed of 2, but my dagger has a range, an attack length of, oops, sorry, let me zoom in on that, 0. If I had thrown it, it would have 22, but it's an attack length of 0. Their attack lengths are 34 and 10, so both of their attacks go first. Let's roll for the bow orc first. Okay, that's a miss. Attack speed of 2, my maneuver speed of 2. They hit unless I roll a blank. So sword orc next. I need a blank. Need a blank. I didn't get a blank. He hits me and destroys my leathers. And I take another wound. We're going to wound this cube here. Okay, my attack speed is 2. His attack speed, or maneuver speed is 1. I do 2 damage, but unfortunately one of those is a sword, which gets canceled. So I hit him for 1, and he takes 1 damage. Okay, now the problem is, anybody call out what the problem is? Let me just go down here and you'll see. I ain't got no armor. So, that stupid sword orc, I could have killed the other orc. Yeah, probably so. Because I can kill one of these guys, but because my attack speed isn't great, they both get to go first, and if either one hits me, I'm dead. Now the other option would be, is I put extra cubes down here, but I don't think that's the right call. Okay, here's what we're going to do. You know what? I don't need to use open gate. Let me see where is the gate? The gate's right there. I would just move one clear, or no, I'd move quite a ways away. Here's what we're gonna do. So these guys, I'm not really following all the steps. Some of them are implied. The first is challenge. Monsters challenge, heroes in the clearing randomly. I'm the only one in the clearing, so they both challenge me. You'll note that they both have a maneuver speed of 1. So as long as I put 2 cubes down here, I can evade. And so I'm going to put 4 cubes, counting this one down here, which is 4 is greater than 1, I evade. What that means is that I move onto a path leading into the clearing, or into the location. I'm going to run in between the campfire and the altar, where these guys are. What a waste. I lost my armor, and all my armor, and I got almost nothing to show for it. Okay, cool. Hey, how not to do combat. All right, turn 17. So the first thing that has to happen, because I am I evaded, which means I'm on the path between the two. The first thing I have to do is I have to move. And I'm going to move to the campfire. I am then going to do 3 rests. Using my symbol of rest, I can do 3 rests. That gets me 2 cubes back. Okay. Technically, the right term for that is I am doing a short rest. And I have 1 action left because of my bonus action from this symbol of rest, which I will use to sneak just in case there's trouble, either with natives at the campfire or if these orcs should come to me or even new monsters come to me. Okay. Okay, we're in the mountains. So first, we always process the gray die first. We match something on the tile. So the first thing that happens is these orcs move to me. The next thing that happens is that we're going to get juvenile dragons. We're going to get 1 juvenile dragon in clearing 2 because of this die. We don't match on carrion, so nothing comes. Now, normally, we're at the campfire, remember? And normally this die right there could summon somebody to the campfire. Normally that would have brought the elves to the campfire, but it does not. Natives do not go to wherever. Technically, the way it works is the elves do get summoned, blink, right? But anytime monsters and unhired natives are in the same clearing, they go right back to their location. So let's put this on the return. So these guys don't actually appear because there are orcs there, and they're like, that's your problem, not my problem. Okay, cool. Make sense? Any questions on what just occurred? All right. I'm going to try to hide. Thankfully, I snuck this time. I was getting a little greedy with my shadow cloak. Okay, so because I snuck, I can ignore one of those, and I am hidden. Now I have a decision to make. No, I'm not going to do it. Okay, cool. All right. We're on to the next turn. First things first, I'm going to sneak. Because there are monsters in my clearing, I need to try and hide. I succeed. And I am going to enchant that tile, thereby placing green magic in it. We're going to see how this goes, but I plan on elementizing this turn. So I'm hidden. Okay, and that was my 4th action, right? It took me 3 to enchant the tile, so let's roll the dice. Okay, plains and roar, neither of which matches, so these juvenile dragons stay where they are. This would bring natives to the clearing, but because there are orcs there, we just ignore it. They're not coming. And we're gonna have the Thrilla in Manila here. We're gonna have round 2 of this. Okay, so here's what we do. We are going to, from hiding, cast. Let's pull this down here. We're going to cast Elemental using this, and we're going to fill the wound symbol with the we're gonna do the wound from the enchanted tile so that I don't have to wound anything. So these are in here. I could put cubes out here, but the truth is it doesn't matter. They have nobody to target. Okay, so we still roll to see if they change tactics. And now they change tactics. Sure, won't do that when I was fighting them alone. But okay, so cool. So in order, they have no attacks. The elemental spell triggers. These cubes come back to my healthy box. And I draw a random elemental from here. And the elemental that comes is an earth elemental. Slow as dirt. Probably not the best one for me to get, but he is armored, so none of these... Well, maybe the bow orc could get him on a first attack. This guy should be flipped. Okay, cool. Worth noting, I know there was a wound on one of the orcs, but that goes away. The minute there's... at the end of combat, monsters are completely healed. Okay, cool. Now I have to stay hidden. And I don't, but we're going to leverage that shadow cloak. And I don't. So, all right, let's make a duplicate of this. Okay, so I lose my hidden status. Depending on where who these monsters attack, that'll determine what I do next. Okay, let's do this. Let's roll the dice. 1, 2, 3 is me. 4, 5, 6. They target the elemental, so that's good. Let's see who these guys. Okay, so the bow orc is going after me, and the sword orc is going after him. I'm tempted to risk it, you guys, just because I need the points. I'm falling behind. I can't just sit here and, and this is my best chance to go after these guys. Okay. So I'm being targeted by this guy. I can't beat him. I can't beat him on my attack. All right. We're going to risk it. We're going to risk it because I want the kill. Here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to target this guy. So I'm just going to target him, and he's going to target him. We're going to go after it. It's mano a mano, 2 mano a mano battles. And the way I'm going to play this is I'm going to put 1 cube there. There is some risk. I got a 25% chance of dying outright in this fight. Not quite. Actually, lower than that. Okay, so I'm going to put 3 down in speed. The reason I'm putting 3 down there is that makes it less likely that this guy will hit me. And then, yeah, this guy, which side do I want? I don't think it matters. Nope, we're going to put him on the slow side. The slow attack side. My earth elemental. Okay, let's roll to see if they change tactics. They don't change tactics. So he stays the same. Let's go process. This is round 1. No, this is round 2, sorry. And so we're just going off of the speed of our attacks. It's attack speed 2, attack speed 1, attack speed 0, and attack speed 1. This attack goes first. He is shooting at me. My maneuver speed is 3. I want to not see 2 hit symbols. Okay. That is a miss. And the reason that's a miss is this equal is a miss because his attack speed of 2 is less than my maneuver speed of 3. That's probably certain death if he had hit me. So that's a miss. Now we have the 2-1 attacks. Let's just go ahead and do the orc first. Technically, his goes first anyway because we're tied on maneuver speed. Mine has a length of 0. His has an attack length of 10, so he breaks ties. That's meant to simulate the fact that his longer weapon goes. If we were targeting each other, he would actually hit me first. Attack speed of 1 versus a maneuver speed of 1. Let's go ahead and roll these dice. And he misses. I'm feeling pretty good. My attack speed of 1 versus a maneuver speed of 1 on this bow orc. So I need equal symbols or hit symbols to kill him. And I miss. Next up is my elemental. We need 2 hit symbols in order for him to kill the orc. And that's not good enough. This is a miss because of the orc's maneuver of 2. Okay, we're on to round 3. And nothing happened that turn. So one more round of this and we're done. Again, a 1, 2, 3, and he goes after me. A 4, 5, 6, and they go after the elemental. Kind of want them both to go after the elemental. That's great. The bow orc changes targets. We just all swap. We know how well this went last time. Okay. Decision time. So if I run away, the elemental dissipates. I need to be in the clearing. Yeah. I say I push my luck. I want this done. But what we are going to do is the elemental and I are going to target the sword orc. So if I don't die on the first round, we have 2 chances to kill him. Now what I am also though going to do is I'm going to remove... Oh no, that's not going to make any difference. Yeah, it's not going to make any difference. Okay. You know what? I take that back. Here's what's going to happen. So the elemental is going to target this guy. I'm actually going to target the bow orc still. And the reason being that I can kill him with a single hit. Okay, let's see if they flip. Be nice if both of them flipped. Be nice, but it's not going to happen. Okay, now we go off of attack speed. Both of the orcs are first. The bow orc has a longer attack at 34 to 10, so that one goes first. Attack speed of 2 against a maneuver speed of 1 means it hits. It does 3 damage minus 1 because of the armor, so that sword goes away. So it's 2 modified by this range attack. 2, it does 1 damage. You take the worst result for whoever is rolling. That's 1 damage is not enough to kill. It takes 4 to kill this guy, so that's 1 wound on the earth elemental. The next attack is the sword orc. Attack speed of 2 versus my maneuver speed of 3. We want blanks or equals. We just don't want 2 hits. If it's 2 hits, then I get to again die during one of my live streams. That's a miss. Again, because of that extra maneuver speed. The next attack is, I think, me with a attack speed of 1 against a maneuver speed of 1. I just need no blanks. No blanks, and I stab that guy. There we go. Okay, so this is dead. I've got my first kill of the game, and that earns me 6 fame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I agree, Minnie. I'm kind of pushing my luck here, which I tend to do. I realize it's a game, but I like to role play it, you know? Okay, so let's see. This earth elemental needs 2 hit symbols to clobber that orc. He just crushes him if he can catch him. But he needs 2 hit symbols. He needs 2 of not that. Dang it. Okay, we reset the timer because there was a wound and a death. And we're back to 1, 2, 3. He targets me. 4, 5, 6. He targets the elemental. Okay, so finally we got something we can work with here. Okay. So that, he's going after the earth elemental. I'm completely safe. And so we're going to change our tactics a little bit. Yeah, we're going to change our tactics a little bit. I'm not going to put anything there. I'm going to cast the strength spell. It's worth noting that this elemental spell is locked up right now until this elemental dies or combat ends. If that elemental were to die this round, on the very next round I could cast elemental again. But in this case, I'm going to cast strength. It doesn't matter what the speed is or anything. So I'm just going to leave my cubes off. I'm casting strength on myself. And the reason being then I can one-hit the Sword Orc. So even if my elemental dies, I should be able to take out the Orc next round. Famous last words. Okay. The problem is that the way the Sword Orc is right now, he kills my Earth Elemental, and there's nothing I can do about it. Unless he flips. But so be it. I can't do anything about it. Okay. Elemental's obviously targeting the Sword Orc. Okay. Let's see if the Sword Orc flips. He does not. Attack speed order. 2 goes first and is faster than the 1 of the Elemental. He hits him for 4 damage, minus 1, 3 damage. The health of the Earth Elemental is 3. 4 minus the 1 wound. 3 to 3 is enough to kill the Earth Elemental. Okay, so that guy's dead. Okay, let's put him back where he belongs. Right here. It's worth noting I don't lose 10 fame. You don't lose fame when an elemental dies. You do if it was a hired native. Okay, and then the second thing that happens is my strength spell takes effect on me. So I now am do +1 damage. So if I hit him, I kill him. I am going to put 3 down here. Whoops. Minimize his chance to hit me. And if he doesn't flip, I have a pretty good shot at hitting him. Now his attack's going to go first. So again, we're really pushing our luck here. Okay. Does he flip? He does not. His attack speed is 2. My attack speed is 1. I have 3 maneuver speed. And he has 2 attack speed. So again, I need if it's 2 hits, that's bad. Uh-oh. Son of a. Okay. All right. I pushed my luck one round too many. So 2 hits is a hit. So his 2 attack speed versus my 3 maneuver speed, right? Equates to he has to roll 2 hits in order to hit me. He rolled exactly 2 hits. And so, c'est la vie. Unfortunately, that he hits me with 4 damage because I have no armor, and I have 2 health, thereby killing me. I was really hopeful I would get him because then I would have been in a good spot. So I lose half my fame rounded down. Come on. Oh, I see. It's somehow I got to a new mode and I don't know how to change that easily. So 20. I'm at 22, and then those get converted into LPs, and I am at 2 fame and 9 legend points. Okay. All right. You know, I will say, I'll take a moment and talk about those hit dice for a moment, just because it's one of my favorite things in the game, and I know, you know, there's been at least one Board Game Geek post that criticizes it, but I think it represents a misunderstanding of why it is the way it is. Okay, so I die, and the outcast carcass, elf carcass, is somewhere out in the woods. I could set it up, but we'll end here because we're probably at about time anyway. I end up with 9 LPs and 2 fame. If that had not happened, boy, was I posed to really score some points. Which is part of why I was doing that. I just didn't want monsters lingering around. I needed to get to where I could kind of attack these and then, you know, take care of the juvenile dragons as well, kind of piecemeal, because I wasn't strong enough. My hope was that maybe the elves would arrive and I could have hired an elf. You know, or even the Bashkers, because the Bashkers are super fast. So there were some really nice opportunities there for me if I wasn't dead. Okay, let's talk about a couple things. And then I'll take questions in the chat. Oh, Control F1. Rock on. Thank you for that. Okay, I assume Control F1 turns it back off. Thank you. I'm guessing the Control F keys turn on and off the various menu items too, or interface items. So okay, so let's talk about these hit dice. Like, I think that might be something that's frustrating to noobs. The fact that if you are slower, you only have a 25% chance of hitting. If you are faster, if you're faster, you auto hit. If you're equal, you have about a 44% chance of hitting. That's lower than in many games. The reason it is that way is twofold. One is legacy but valuable, and the other, which I'll cover first, is if the percentage chance to hit was higher, it would be harder for the hero. The reason being, typically you're fighting more enemies than they are facing. Typically you're yourself, or maybe you have a hireling, maybe you even have two if you're lucky, or you're with a partner hero and you're playing collaboratively. But even in those situations, you're often fighting 2, 3, 4 monsters at a time. And so if the chances to hit were higher, it actually benefits them. Additionally, you have the benefit of intelligence. This is just a chip. It is either going to be this side or that side. So you know that their attack speed is going to be 1 or 2. You know that the Sword Orc's maneuver speed is going to be 1 or 2. And you can plan accordingly. Now, in my real detriment here was that I didn't have the ability to go a little bit faster. If I had chosen the half-elf character, the lineage, which gives me an extra attack speed box, this fight would have been easy because I could have one hit either of these. I could have hit this Sword Orc before he even got a chance to hit me again because I would have put 3 into the attack speed. And so because I can use my intelligence to, in essence, rig the results, I can swing faster or slower. The second thing is actually a legacy thing. I am enamored with Magic Realms combat, though I don't like it's really fiddly. One of the things that Magic Realm does is all attacks are split into 3 columns. They're labeled smash, swing, and thrust thematically. But in reality, it's a 1/3 chance to hit. If you undercut, meaning you have more cubes or you attack faster than the target dodges, you auto hit. If not, you only hit if their maneuver is in the same column as you. And so there's a 1/3 chance to hit. So what I wanted for Dragons Down was that you had some measure of control over that. I didn't want the fiddliness of moving counters around. In essence, a combat flowchart that just violates everything I believe in from the spirit of gaming. And so, if you think about it, 25% or 44%, the average between those two is approximately 33%. And so you've mimicked some aspect of this really elegant combat system without any of the fiddliness of moving stuff around a combat flowchart. So those are the reasons why. The first one's probably the bigger one, right? Which is it actually benefits you to have the ability to put more speed into your attack and then or play the odds here and hope for the best because you're typically one against many. Okay. All right. Questions from the chat that you have for me. I'm happy to answer any questions you want on the game, the campaign, whatever you want to talk about. I have some time here, 15 minutes or so. Questions? Yeah, absolutely, Minnie. So the question is, I'll just repeat the question that was put in chat in case people watching this later don't have chat active. So the value of a spell book is always the value of the spells upon it. When I first found this spell book, it had these 3. Sorry, that's not working very well. Come on, go to the right place. It had these 3 spells on it. So it had a value of 8, 9, 10. For me, I sell stuff at half price, so it has a value of 5, but normally it would be a value of 10. When I learned the elemental spell, it takes it, you literally physically pull the card off and put it in your known spells area. It reduces its overall value. So that spell is no longer on the spell book, and so now it is only worth 5. Absolutely true. Yeah. No, so Frizz, so the question is, do you draw all new stuff at a merchant? And the answer is no. Merchants do not get refreshed unless merchants don't get refreshed except for the missions. And that only happens at the end of a turn. So if I had taken, let's say, these 2 missions from the Artificer, which frankly I could have done, and let's just take a look at what we got here. Actually, let's go to the Crone just for humor value to see what I was potentially looting. Right? So Pebble of Irritation, that would have been really valuable. I could have targeted those 2 monsters and caused them to fight each other. Could have had Enchanted the Tile, with gray as well. There was another pair of leathers, and then these 3 missions. If I had at the beginning, remember I said, oh, these aren't very good missions, I'm not going to take them. Truth is, if I had been wiser, I would have taken 2 of the missions, right? And then I could have, and then at the end of the turn, I replenish what missions were at the Crone, and that's called mission cycling, right? I'm wasting time, but if I'm going to be sticking around there for a while anyway, it probably made sense to do. Okay? But the rest of the stuff, nope, that's what they have, and the only additional items they'll get is if other heroes or yourself sell items to that particular merchant. Okay. Correct. So Brand asked the question, I can't use a dagger and cast strength in the same round. The rules are, right, you can only place cubes on 1 card. Might and spell cubes on 1 card. So I can always place cubes down here. There are certain cards that have that exception, and you'll notice Elven Slippers. This card can have cubes placed on it in addition to other cards. But I could not have placed and by the way, this should have been wounded. This strength cube, this purple cube when I cast strength should have been wounded because of this wound symbol at the bottom of the card. But yeah, I couldn't cast strength and use the dagger in the same round. I'm only doing one thing. Okay, Jeff, a longtime Magic Realm player, finally got to play the base game yesterday for the first time. I personally loved it. Felt just like playing Magic Realm. The rough edges smoothed over. Thanks, Jeff. That's really kind of you to say. I'm glad you enjoyed the game. I got to tell you, comments like that literally hit me right here because that's the reason I've spent 20 years on this game. I recognize that there are some folks who don't like aspects of the rule book. There are things I do wish maybe I had a summary section at the beginning of each, like combat especially. I probably needed something at the beginning of combat that said, hey, this is going to be unlike anything you've ever experienced before. Let me tell you as an overall flow how combat works. And I didn't do that. So instead, combat is just kind of this like procedural walkthrough of how combat happens. And that can be confusing if you don't know what the hell's going on, right? And what the cards are and things like that. So there are things I wish I did different. But and I realize there are some struggles on the campaign. The fact that, we don't have standard edition core games in Europe. We do now. We have about 100 copies that are at going through customs and will be at this distributor. They frankly didn't get picked up for 2 months because of some of the new laws in Europe, and that's hurt our campaign because we thought we were going to have 100 core games that are just available for purchase, just like the folks who are purchasing off the Mr. B Games web store here in the U.S. But then it got delayed by 2 months. Now that's not our fault, but it's also not an excuse. It's just the reality. And typically in Europe, we have about we probably have, 50 backers or so that want the game there. And I have to do a minimum print run of 500 copies. I don't even have a warehouse in Europe. So the concept of holding on to 450 copies of the game and printing 450 extra copies so I can get 50 copies to people just doesn't work, unfortunately. But that kind of stuff kills me. So when I read comments like that, Jeff, that really means something to me because that's why we designed this game, and we're working really diligently to make sure that there's a solution for everybody. that works well. Okay, what's the in-universe reason for a spell disappearing from a spell book after you learn it? I would throw out come up with your own on that. I don't dictate that. I think of Dungeons and Dragons, right, where you have spells that are in the mind of the spellcaster. I never understood, in a sense, why when you cast a spell it disappears. What do you mean I can only cast Magic Missile once? I think it's the same kind of thing. You're working through a spell book, you're learning it, and either it's the mysticism of the way it's written that it disappears as you learn, or maybe the book gets worn out, or whatever the case may be. Maybe it requires you pouring chemicals on the book. I don't know. I just know I didn't want the fiddliness of you recording stuff in your adventure journal as to what spells you learned. I wanted everything to be a component in the game so you could just at a glance look at what you were, right? So, okay. There's no penalty for not completing missions. Correct. There are penalties. You'll notice in this crone, there are penalties for discarding some missions. So if I had chosen this package, once I took it, if I discard it, I get an item. Cool. That means you stealing the package. But then I become an outlaw. It's known that I didn't do it. The rest of these, like here's one, right? I could I didn't even notice. I should have paid attention. This would have been a great one for me to take. The outcast shouldn't fear becoming an outlaw. I could have drawn the deep treasure, right? But then I get 3 outlaw tokens. The Detrium is very valuable. Okay. Let's take a peek just for my own humor value at the Artificer to see what was potentially there. It's one of the challenges with the outcast, right? You never exactly know. Well, check that out. Right? I think one was a spell book I sold. There were 2 other spell books there. Right? Potion of Relief, which is amazing for learning spells because you get rid of those. Some stuff I couldn't use, right? The Buckler and the Hand Axe. So this is the guy I should have been thieving from, more so than the crone. By the way, there's some really cool interactions there from a cooperative and or coopetition form, which is, why don't I throw some gold to you, Mr. Rogue? You do a trade action and let me know what the Artificer has. Or I'll be the thief, you be the fence. I'm going to give you these items or sell them to you at half price, 2/3 price, whatever, because you can sell them at full price. So I'll do the thieving, you do the interactions with the particular merchant, and we can both benefit as long as we're willing to spend some time here. So the Outcast has some unique interactions with other heroes that frankly is just unique to that class and is really fun. Okay. Yeah, sold items stay with the merchant. Yeah, thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll just ship like 50 copies to you and you can sell them because you're local. There you go. That's not how it works, unfortunately. Okay. Yeah. So the question was, can I go over the 2 most dreaded treasures in the game? I'll cover this. And then get your other questions queued up if you have them, because we'll shut down shortly. By the way, I did have these legendary locations in the game, and so if I had looted a deep treasure that was one of these legendary locations, you would have seen how they work in the game. Let's do this. Let's do dragon. There we go. Icon of the dragon, and summon. I don't know if you know that, but when you search a deck, you can also type, and these cards are named. That was great work by George and Kirk and Fencer and Angel and others. But so let's pretend I was here in this location. So let's cover the summoning marcation first. Summoning marcation says that the local monster icon in all adjacent tiles are active. So if I was in this tile with the summoning markation and I rolled orc heads, I would get, you know, the regular orcs I get because I have the symbol here. So count up, however, let's pretend this was, you know, these were the rolls, right? And let's pretend this was on orc head. So I would have gotten 5 orcs coming in this particular roll because of these 2 dice. This, hey, Mammy, get down. Get on your bed. Sorry. Got a dog that climbed up on the couch and started scratching. Okay, sorry about that. My couch kind of became important to me for a moment. Okay, so anyway, then these orcs, this orc head would symbol 5 more orcs, and these wouldn't summon anything. But if I rolled the carrion symbol, trolls would appear in my tile. So the summoning markation activates that and this. And if I was in this tile, it would have been worse. This would activate this and this and this and this and that, all bringing them to the keep. That's the way monsters can appear in the base game in a civilization tile. Okay, Icon of the Dragon's pretty straightforward. It just means that regardless of what's on the tile you're on, it also has a mountain symbol and a roar symbol. So if I'm in the keep and I roll a mountain symbol or a roar symbol, it's as if I had matched the mountain symbol, juvenile dragons are coming, or the roar symbol, wherever that, I don't see where one is right off the top of my head, adult dragons are coming. So it adds those symbols. If I was back here again and I rolled the symbol, I wouldn't double up on juvenile dragons, right? It just says, hey, even if that symbol's not there, it's there. That's the way those two work. Yeah, like Dragon Essence. Look, that's where kind of the inspiration for Icon of the Dragon came from. They're brutal, brand, but they're really worth a lot of gold. And they get you points. Okay, one weird thing happened to us yesterday. Mass Effect tried to learn a spell while at the keep, got the curse that summons the wandering monsters. Yep. You'll notice, so we're at the keep. This TTS mod does not have the latest image for the tiles. You'll notice that there is actually a wandering monster icon on the keep tiles in the printed game. In all the Civ locations. And so, yep, you would get juvenile dragons at the keep, or giant bats at the mine, or whatever. That's what that curse does. Yep. Okay. So, Frizz, I'm going to hold off on answering that question. You will learn more in about 7 days, right? We have, I think, 6 days left in the campaign. So patience, and your patience will be rewarded. Yeah. So, yeah, the mod was created by Angelus Novus, goes by Angel, created it originally. Then George collaborated, and George took this into the stratosphere. There were other folks who helped. Fencer is another one who and a few other folks. And then you know, Kirk is kind of a code wizard who has helped immensely with like the map building routine and automation. And I probably am insulting people by not naming some of the people involved, or understating what their actual contributions were. But the truth is, you know, y'all get to play this game because in TTS for free because of the efforts of those people. So drop them a thank you in the general comments in the server. One quick note: Natives and Legends, or the natives components of Natives and Legends, has been on TTS for like 6 months, and I've become a big believer in that being a fundamental way to playtest the game. So if we do expansions in the future, you'll get access to them via Tabletop Simulator well before any campaign launches. So, yeah, it's worth noting. That's a great point, Brand, right? So these things stick around. So if I sell them to a merchant, they're still active at that merchant site because they're red backpack items wherever you find them, right? If you were to glance, roll grabby hands and glance into a a treasure location and see it there, you are required to put it face up on the pile, or in the pile, because it becomes active. The minute you know it's somewhere, it is active. The only way to get rid of these in the current incarnation is when the dwarves are looking for it, and it's, if you trade it like a dwarf digger, it's a deep treasure that removes it from the game. So, okay, let's go. A few other questions, and then we'll shut down before I start to bore you all to tears here. When placing cubes on spells, do they stay there until cast? Yes. So let's go to the spells, right? So all the spells have a duration. So if you cast it, the cubes come off at the end of the combat round when they were cast. If there was a cube that was on a wound symbol, it goes to the wound box. Otherwise, it returns to the healthy box. Okay. The card is tied up for the duration shown here. So move earth occurs, and then immediately the card is available. But like shapeshift is really interesting. It's permanent, right? So if I cast shapeshift and I choose to be a giant spider, let's say, right? Great, I'm now a giant spider. Literally, that card is out of play. I cannot cast shapeshift again unless I pay to have the spell removed, 5 gold at a civ location, or I cast break spells and remove the shapeshift. In which case, I could then cast it again and become a different monster. Now, there are 2 copies of shapeshift in the game. There's the hero starting spells, which is all of these, right? Hero starting spells. These are not in circulation. But if I chose shapeshift at the beginning of the game, and then later I found the shapeshift spell in the wild, I could technically cast both of those spells. I could have a giant bat, and I could be a giant spider. And if at any point I was in the presence of purple magic, I would choose which one of those 2 I want to become. Really powerful thing. I've only seen it happen a couple times, but it's pretty fun when it does. Okay. Yep, that's correct, Brad. All right. Any final questions before we shut it down? I'm looking at the screen like I'm going to see it there. Look over here. The next one of these I think I'll do a live playthrough in the evening on Saturday. My daughter is at a dance. I will be free, and I think that's what I'll do. Correct, Jeff. You would have to learn the found copy of the spell. The only spells you can ever cast are right here, right? And then there is one treasure in Natives and Legends called the Casting Lens. You'll see here, this Peace Pendant allows you to cast Peace, right? And there are various versions of these spells where without magic cubes you can cast a spell. The Casting Lens allows you to cast any spell on an active spell book. So come back here. That was one of the treasures that we did in the reveal. If I had these, let's pretend this curse was, it's on there. But so if I had the Casting Lens activated and I had a spell book activated, I could put cubes on here, and when it comes time for that to trigger, I could choose one of these spells. It is removed from the scroll permanently. I can no longer learn it. It's out of the game, but I do get to cast that spell. So that would have been a cool way to say, envenom my dagger or something if I had the Casting Lens. Yep, absolutely, Minnie. If you put, so the question is, putting cubes on spells counts as your 5 cubes for combat. Absolutely. You'll notice that I, chose spells that didn't have major requirements, and the main reason is, I didn't have that much to work with, and that allows me to be fast. You literally, those lower level spells you can cast faster with more speed cubes. Okay. We'll do a 10-second countdown. Had mission to the scholar that allows immediately learning a spell for free if you can cast it. I needed 2 white cubes to cast, but only 1 to learn. Yep. So Jeff, you would have been able to learn that. You need a single matching cube of that color. So in this case, I could learn a green spell, a blue spell, a purple spell, and even if this was wounded, I could still learn a purple spell. Okay. So I think the wording is that it says is you have to the color of the cube has to match the color of the banner on the spell card. So yeah, so Jeff, that was incorrect, and I apologize that the rules were not clear on that. As long as you match, have a single cube, because the reality is, even if you only had 1 white cube, you could still cast it by enchanting the tile to get you that other colored cube. So, yeah, okay, yeah, Jeff, that's shame on me. I should have reworded that. So that should be, it has to match the banner color in order to be able to do. That was my shorthand way. Some of the limited space and some of those mission cards. That was my shorthand way of basically saying you can't learn a black spell if you don't have a black cube. Those cubes, what they really represent is obviously knowledge of that particular magic. And so the intent there is you have knowledge of that type of magic. Ergo, you can learn the spell. You may not be able to cast it right then and there because you don't have enough cubes of that color. But that's a different thing. So worth noting. Yep. All right, I'll take your criticism, Jeff. The mission is poorly worded. Now you know why it's worded like that. I knew when I was creating this game that there were going to be 1,000 places where I didn't choose the exact right words, or my icon wasn't quite right, or whatever. And frankly, to date, I've only found 1 meta in the game that we're nerfing in the natives box. There was a way to create an infinite loop using the heal spell, and so we're fixing that. But that's the only one I've seen so far. I'm sure there are others that we just haven't discovered yet, and we'll deal with those in future expansions if we identify them. So cool. All right, hey, thanks everybody. I'm going to, from here, I'll hop in Discord for a while, so if there's any additional questions, we can answer them there. I'll also monitor Board Game Geek, so if you have questions there, I'm happy to answer them there as well. I like Board Game Geek for its archiving capabilities, the fact that people can come back and search it. I like Discord for its immediacy. So generally speaking, if you're in-game, use the rules hotline in Discord to get a quick answer to something. There are always people who are online who are willing to jump in and help. If you're not in a game, I prefer Board Game Geek just because then, you're answering questions in essence that other people may stumble upon in the future because, Board Game Geek is such a great resource for that. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll do this again on Saturday. Hopefully I'll schedule that and let everybody know. All right. Have a great day. Take care.